astronomy, radio amateur, yeah, all of that kind of stuff. I had decided on computer science. One of my jobs was to find software for students of that. People would come to me and say, I need a piece of software that does X. If you wanted software, it was held on what's called FTP archives, which are basically directories that you could log on to, see what files were there, and download them or not. The only thing you knew was the file name. It was a pretty tedious process, which is why, being the lazy son of a bitch that I am, I automated it. So we built this very simple program that, instead of me doing the search, allows people to log on and do the search for themselves. Word got around, people started talking about it. We had to give it a name because we couldn't refer to it as, the thing that searches. It searched archives. So how about Archie? It's archive without the V, and that's how it became Archie. And that was the first search engine. Within a couple of months, about half the internet traffic in Canada was going to this one machine, and the growth was explosive. Everybody else had the same problem that I did, but I just happened to be, like anything else, first to the finish line. At the time, nobody was making money off the internet, and we didn't patent any of the original ideas behind Archie. So the patents would have been where I would have made the money. A lot of the techniques that we developed for Archie are exactly the same techniques that all the other search engines use. So in that way, Archie is the great-grandfather of Google and all of those other search engines. I would actually suspect that there's more information on the internet than there are snowflakes in a snowstorm. How do you search through the billions and billions of snowflakes to find the one that you are looking for? So what you need is a very fast machine that can look at every snowflake and determine what's the snowflake I'm looking for. That's basically what search engines do. Search is life. Everything about life involves searching. Searching for a mate, searching for food, searching for shelter. Those are all the things that drive life. Be it human beings or any other creature on Earth, they all have to search. Computers are now, for the first time, trying to understand what you are looking for. I don't feel like a father or anything. It's not how I think of myself, really. I mean, I think of myself as a footnote. I will never do anything that has had that much impact on the world. And I will say, every now and again, I interact with somebody who's a real idiot. And I think to myself, yeah, but you know what? I invented the search engine. We fell in love over the mutual hatred of one man's invention.
I invented the most hated and most loved font in the world. My name is Vincent Canera. I'm a typographic engineer, and I've been doing this for 26 years. I was working at Microsoft. The consumer division wanted to know what we thought about the fonts used in this program, which later was called Microsoft Bob. When I loaded the CD, a little dog came up, but he talked in a speech balloon like you get in a newspaper cartoon strip, but it was in the system font Times New Roman. I thought, that's silly. Dogs don't talk like that. So I said, it would look better if it looked like the comic book. I took a look at what I saw, tried to recreate it with a mouse on a computer screen, and I quickly drew up in about 3 days enough letters so they could test it. When Windows 95 shipped, Comic Sans was on every computer in the world.
My name is Holly Combs.
My name is Dave Combs, and we feel that Comic Sans is a blight on the landscape of typography.
The problem with it is your average person is uninformed. It's tools in the hands of morons.
Comic Sans looks like someone grew up on the keyboard and that's what came out.
Comic Sans is an epidemic. It is worthy of banning. Boom. Dave and I met in 2000. and I worked with a client, and they told me, you have to do an entire gallery guide in Comic Sans.
Holly tells me, and I say, why don't we just ban it? Let's make a campaign to ban Comic Sans.
And I looked at him and I was like, do you want to get married? So we did. They sat down right away and was like, well, we could make a website. And I was like, again, maybe we should have children. We should do this thing.
Dave and Holly Combs were probably the first to write to me and say, we're thinking of doing something and we're going to call it Fan Comic Sans. I didn't think a lot about it, so I said, well, knock yourself out.
Ban Comic Sans is a campaign to eradicate the misuse of the font Comic Sans. We wanted people to start talking about fonts and how they use them, and when they use them inappropriately, we wanted to call it out.
All over the world, it's like creeped into the souls of everyone.
You can't go anywhere without seeing Comic Sans. We're right now in South of France. The only restaurant in town, the entire dessert menu is in Comic Sans. Their opening hours are in Comic Sans. The sign in the toilet is in Comic Sans.
You see a sign that says wet paint. Are they just kidding? Is it a joke?
Do you know what people do when they see that?
They touch it.
The Vatican used it on a photo album.
There's a law firm, I believe it's a law firm, that has big, bright Comic Sans on the front of their building.
And did you hear that he said, I believe it's a law firm? Because why would you think it's a law firm if the name of the law firm is in Comic Sans? Like, really? You're going to help me with my case? That's freaking magic.
There's a lot of cool stuff online about Comic Sans. It's definitely reached like a cultural kind of crescendo, I guess you would say.
Comic Sans is the best font in the world. If you want your designs to look like they're done by little girls. Not so fast, Francis. Comic Sans. Comic Sans best used in moderation.
I don't have an answer. It's just everywhere.
I love how Vincent Canard put it. He said, if you love it, you don't know much about typography.
And if you hate Comic Sans, you don't know anything about typography either. You should get another hobby.
Little jab to us there, I think, but it's perfect. People
don't always listen to the best music and don't always wear the best clothes and don't always have the best haircut. But that doesn't mean that everything they do and everything they choose is wrong.
I think he realizes he wouldn't be as famous for making the font if it weren't for our efforts to ban it.
Without Comic Sans, they probably wouldn't have gotten together as a couple. So I think I'm quite proud of that.
Comic Sans should never be used. Ever.
If you like Comic Sans, just use it. It's there to be used and enjoyed.
Comic Sans is the best font in the world. If you want your designs to look like they're done by little girls.
It may be kind of hard to believe, but these three little pieces of metal have actually saved thousands of lives. It's my best invention. I was 19 years old, and while driving on a road, a parachute landed in front of me. I almost ran the guy over, gave him a ride back to the drop zone, and 2 hours later, I was up in an airplane making my first parachute jump, and haven't stopped since. I started expedition skydiving. I fell in love with it. It was the first time I was free from the earth. I've made about 6,500 jumps now over the past, boy, you know, it's going to push 50 years soon, unfortunately. Parachute equipment hadn't changed pretty much since the first free fall jump, like in 1919 or something. I identified 5 problems within my first year of jumping, and I worked in them over 30 years to get them all finished. When I started jumping, this is what we wore. A static line operated rig on the back and a front mount reserve. When you have a malfunction, time is of essence. You might be going to the ground at 175 feet a second, which means every second and a half you do a football field. We carry 2 parachutes because parachutes aren't reliable. Every 1,000 jumps, your main parachute will malfunction. All the releases had safety. You had to pop the safety before you could actually get to the release. And that's because the main purpose of a release is not to release.
I invented a release with one hand. You could pull one handle and release your entire malfunctioning main parachute. And the rings were chosen because they can't get out of alignment, and they have large spaces between them, so nothing can jam them. We're going to have a race. Who do you think is going to win? 3, 2, 1, go. I'm amazed that in 40 years, no one's come up with anything better. I have formed a large company that manufactures parachute equipment with nearly 100 employees. I've got about a dozen patents now on parachute safety equipment. They're used in all the parachute systems around the world now. Everything that comes in, we will break a small percentage of. Thread, for instance. If the thread isn't good, nothing else is. 5 now. There it goes. We're not allowed to say that it's safe. You can get killed doing it. Skydiving is safer than it used to be. It's safer than some things, and it's more dangerous than others. If I'm feeling bad about something, I go out to the drop zone and I watch the faces of the students walking in from the tandem jump. And they're all smiling and laughing and on top of the world. And I borrow a little of that, and I feel good again. Skydiving, since I started jumping, is roughly 20 times safer. I don't know of anything else that's gotten that much safer that quickly. People benefit from it, but that's not why we did it. I wanted to solve the problem of releasing a parachute quickly. And I wasn't thinking so much about it would save people's lives, but that's always the byproduct of the invention. That's why you do it. When you're skydiving, it's you against the rest of the universe, and you feel really insignificant and at the same time pretty powerful. Skydiving in free fall is like a Category 3 hurricane. It takes the roof off buildings, but it doesn't hurt the human body at all. The human body loves it.
million people in America suffer from insomnia. We have cured it in a way that nothing has been able to without drugs. I am 28 years old, and I am from the Valley in California. So I'm an original Valley girl, but now I'm in the Silicon Valley. Lark started at 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning. My fiance wasn't sleeping well. There was snoozing every 10 minutes. I woke up for the umpteenth time. It was killing my sleep, and I became a pretty grumpy person. So I decided I didn't want to live like that anymore, and I started thinking about things that ended up becoming the first product of Lark. Fast forward 2 months, we decided, wouldn't it be amazing if we could turn the top sleep experts into an automated program on your phone? And that was the real beginning of turning this into a product. It's a silent alarm clock. It does tiny little tickles to nudge you awake. It's a wireless sleep monitor, and it's a personal sleep coach. The coaching happens on the phone as well as on the internet. We figure out what type of sleeper you are, and we share with you the easiest things you should be doing so that you can hopefully look and feel your best. With a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work, Apple liked it, and we got into Apple Store. We became the National Sleep Foundation's official product. We have proven that we can improve insomnia significantly. Sleep is tied to exercise, diet is tied to mood. These things are all so interrelated. Our goal is to show you, if we can help you in 1 or 2 of these categories, that your whole life can improve. It's how to help people be the best versions of themselves in the easiest way possible. A lot of individuals who can't speak clearly use assistive devices, and they use generic voices.
My name is Samantha.
If we can add an element of personality personalization and unique identity, it could be a game changer. Eight years ago or so, I was at a conference where a lot of the individuals use technologies to communicate because they can't speak clearly. The speech synthesizer will say it out loud for them. But I hear a number of different people saying different things in the same voice.
My name is Dave. My name is Kathy. I'm Julie.
And I'm looking around wondering who it is that's speaking to me. You see a 3-year-old girl using that voice, and then you see a 40-year-old male using that voice, and it's odd. It can't really be an extension of the individual if someone else has the same voice. So that was when we first started thinking about, isn't there a way to make these voices more personalized? Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Somewhere around the time of birth, there was some damage to Sam's brain. She has a disorder called Pearsylvian syndrome. The information from the brain to the muscles for speech production isn't really getting there.
I don't use my voice to talk, but I use my iPhone.
So what do you think of the voice that you're using?
It sounds weird.
Because of the way it sounds, she doesn't really want to use the phone as much, especially in public, because it brings a lot of unwanted attention.
Do you think you'd use it more if it sounded more like you?